Alright, this is going to be part 2 of my interview with Jodi Roebuck. This time we're in his bio-intensive gardens. We're going to be talking about some of the tools he uses, how he manages soil, and his beds. That's coming up next on The Urban Farmer. So we're in your bio-intensive garden. This is a seed-saving garden. You've got some pretty interesting tools here, and some of them are quite unique. Like, I recognize the tools themselves, but tell me about these ones specifically.
Well, this is my kit. This is all I need, really. So this is a rake you can buy new.
Yep.
And it's got curvature on the front. It's made by Wolfgarten, and this is all our surface cultivation for turning that top couple of inches into a seed bed.
Yep.
It's beautiful, really ergonomic to use.
Yep.
Nice to be able to buy it new.
Yep. Show me what's the button on there for?
You can actually pop the head off.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yep.
So if that breaks, you'd only have to replace that.
Yeah, well, this just hasn't broken. They're pretty indestructible, and also I shaped the corner of the bed upside down this way.
Right.
Yeah, couldn't do what I do without this tool.
Yep.
And the tool scene's not that good. It's getting worse, actually. So,
it is.
So this fork we've had made custom from scratch, and compared to
your standard
a standard fork, which is usually smaller than this one.
Yeah.
Every time I don't lift it, every time I lever on it, I've just got more purchase. I'm just much more effective. Whether it's the initial double dig, my trenches are wider, so I'm digging less trenches.
Yeah. Or
the ongoing single dig, which is just the surface cultivate. So, just the cultivation of the first trench. So wide stance, an extension of the body through the tool, and a 2-part lift.
Yeah.
This is all our ongoing bed prep.
Yeah, so that's essential. I do the exact same thing. You're not tilling it, you're just loosening, getting down to the subsoil, I guess, right?
And so it's very minimal till.
Yeah.
And then from there, the surface cultivate with the rake. I'm always moving, always on the go.
Yeah.
Never in the same position.
Yeah.
And then after I've made the pass, so with the fork, you're always moving backwards, and with the rake, you're always moving forwards. And then I'll shape the edge of the bed.
Yep.
And the original rip that we did on the edge, first time we dug this clay 8 years ago, is a permanent infrastructure. And so now, after I shape the bed, I'll come back and check. We've got a flat top bed with an angle.
Yeah.
I'll check. Have I set the edge of the bed right where my edge is? And
yeah.
That's how I get so many questions about edge management.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's all about the first rip and then just shaping the bed to that.
Yeah.
Line.
Yeah. Okay, so there's some seeds that are germinating in there. I know those are from, you did a demo the other day. I know that's what those are. But could you explain, let's just say you were going to do a stale seed bedding in a way, because I use a flame weeder, because you're using real low-tech stuff, which I think is really cool.
Yep.
If those were weeds germinating, how would you prep that to get a weed-free bed? Because I look at your beds, and there's no weeds in them. Like, they're totally clean. So how are you managing little germinating weeds like that?
I would, in the afternoon, in the heat of the day, just do one pass straight over the weeds.
Yep.
And knock them.
Yep.
And the sun will hit them.
The sun will fry them.
Yep.
Because they're vulnerable at that stage.
And when they're juvenile, and then from there I can make my next decision, whether it's dressing the bed with compost. The shade net's a mobile. This is our mobile mulch. This tool here.
Yep. This is the shade cloth.
So that's a tool that we can use. We can sweat a bed with plastic.
Yeah.
Very similar to your production, Curtis, and JM's. That we've got units and we've got tools, and then it just comes down to the management, your decision making, how you interact with them all. So
let's talk about this shade cloth here, because I think this is a pretty cool. I like the way you're using this on the bed. So what's the purpose? I mean, I know the purpose, but so the viewers know, what's the purpose of the shade cloth?
So it does several things for us. This is a 70% weave. It stops heavy rain. We're a high rainfall location. So we can prepare a new bed. If we haven't got a chance to crop it, we can cover it. The heavy rain will, this will mitigate the heavy rain.
Yep.
It'll mitigate heavy sun, so it'll actually keep the top inch where your germination is happening
Yep.
Moist, so water savings, and it aids a faster, even germination ahead of the weed cycle.
Brilliant. And I imagine in the summer it's the same thing. When it's hot and dry, you plant a bed, cover it with that, let it germinate, then take it off.
Yep, so in the dry weather we build the moisture first before we cover, rather than just watering through the net.
Yep.
And also, seed is expensive. It's our insurance policy with birds taking seed.
Yeah, right, birds. I mean, there you go.
Yep, so
Multi-purpose there.
Yep.
Okay, let's look at your broad fork. This is a pretty intense broad fork.
Yep, so this is Jevon's design. It's pretty
So
much,
that's John Jevons.
Yep. It's pretty much straight out of the book. I got it made. I had 5 made 15 years ago. Same thing. It's a heavy tool, so you don't want to lift it.
Yeah.
So this is how we transport it.
Yep.
And then do a couple of key things. Got a solid weld down this plate here.
Yep.
Between the rebar and that plate.
Yep.
We've got some angle, so the teeth are going to go in vertical. We've got some angle out front.
Yep.
And some angle back on the handle.
Yep.
These are the handles here for just to drag it.
For dragging it. Brilliant.
And then these angle braces here give you enough clearance for your feet.
Yes.
And so with our wide beds, which suit our long rotation seed crops, this is pretty much half of a bed, so I can go down one side, back up the other.
Yep.
And the teeth, usually, if you've got your moisture level right, usually your sweet, it's not going to clog up in any of your tools.
Yes. So your feet can fit between it to get the clogs out.
So
brilliant. So let's show it. Let's see it in action a bit.
So it's not a
It's not a quick tool. It's meant for doing a deep.
Yeah, it's a deep lift.
Yep.
So we're just one lever back to vertical.
Yep.
And then we pull it back with the.
And so that's the use of those handles, because then you don't have to lift the thing.
So it's really nice ergonomics, and I guess this one's called a U-bar as opposed to a broad fork.
Yeah.
And
yeah, look at how deep that can get. Wow.
Straight to vertical.
Yep.
And I'm always quite particular about my moisture levels before I do any bed prep.
Yep.
To create that optimum soil structure.
Yeah, brilliant.
So from there, you can go to the bottom of the bottom trench and lift up. You can see the different coloration in there.
Yep.
So that's what we started with. It's mountain. It's the ash from all the volcanoes blowing up.
Yep.
And yeah, we're really starting on a subsoil here. With
yeah. Yeah. So you've got 18 to 20 inches of good topsoil there.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Okay, so one thing I know people are going to ask is, how come Jodi's got a 5-foot wide bed opposed to a 30-inch bed like I do?
Well, we're in seed production, so if we look at this bed of beans, for example, this was direct seeded on the offset pattern.
Yep.
And I'm not going to be picking fresh beans off here.
That's right.
We're going to leave the beans right through to maturity. When they mature, all the leaves will fall off.
Yep.
Become a mulch, and they'll start to look like this.
Yep.
And they'll rattle. So before the seeds shatter, I'll harvest them about the stem above ground, all onto a sheet.
Yep.
They'll get about 5 days drying in the greenhouse, and then I'll just jump on them and pour all the seed out.
So, but I mean, going back to the reason for the wide bed, it's because your context isn't coming in and harvesting day in and day out. Your context is a longer season crop.
Yep.
So, I mean, and even when I see some of the other seed crops, they're quite tall, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, for a 30-inch bed, that just doesn't make much sense, because a 30-inch bed's narrow. If you get wind, it'll knock it over.
Definitely, and we have a lot of wind, and there's also a great economy with path to bed ratio.
Yeah.
We've got less interior path and more bed space.
More beds, so you're maximizing the space.
Yep. So we're looking here. The goal is you know, you can't see that path. There's no chance for the weeds to grow.
Yeah, because you don't have to go in and manage those paths. Once these beds are set, they're set until they're ready to harvest the seed.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with the fast germination or the offset pattern and the role of the shade net, a lot of crops, there's no time for bare soil or exposure. By the time the high density germination
Yeah.
lifts the net, and by the time the net comes up, especially with a crop like buckwheat, this is 4 weeks old, by the time the net comes off, the first 2 leaves, there's like 90% shade over the bed.
Yeah.
So it's a good transition for the crop.
All right, there you have it. One thing I really like about what Jodi's doing is he's got a system that is so replicable anywhere because the tools he's using are so simple that this type of farming, biointensive farming, in this context particularly, could be done anywhere in the world. And I think that has a lot of value to offer. And I know when John Jevons created the biointensive system, he was really targeting countries in Africa that could use these systems. So it's all about the context, and going back to that idea when he talked about the 5-foot wide bed, because his bed unit here is 5 by 20 feet, whereas mine is 2.5 by 25 feet. I need a narrow bed in my context because I'm in and out harvesting all the time. I need to have access. I need to be able to cross the plot. I need to get in and out. In Jodi's context as a seed saver, he's got the crop sitting here for a long time right till the end. So he doesn't need to go in and out of these walkways. So again, it's all about context. And I want to mention this to you guys again because I think it's really important to think of things in a divergent thought pattern opposed to a convergent thought pattern. Is that it's all about the context. It's all about function defining the form. Jodi's function is seed saving long-term crops, and that defines his form. He doesn't need narrow beds like I do, where my function is in and out access, harvesting, turning beds over all the time. That's not his context, so it makes sense for what he's doing. Anyway, so if you found that useful, please hit the subscribe button right now if you want to see more videos like this. Please share and like them with your friends. All right, thanks for watching.